It's been a long time since Porsche was simply the 911 company. The Cayenne put an end to that, as has the Taycan, both of which outsold that icon of German performance in Australia this year. But if you're looking for the model that really matters to Porsche, it's this one, the Macan, which outsells its nearest sibling by a factor of 2 to 1 in Australia. So yes, it's important, which is why Porsche has put a ton of work into this newly updated model. There are revised engines, more power, more equipment, more technology, and even a slightly sharper looking suit. And we're going to be covering all of it, from price and features to design, safety, ownership, practicality, what's under the bonnet, efficiency, what it's like to drive, and of course my final verdict. But look, I know we're all crazy busy, so if there's a particular part of the Macan that you want to know about, feel free to jump ahead at any time. In fact, to make that even easier for you, we're going to put the time codes on the screen so you can jump ahead to the chapter that interests you the most. Otherwise, feel free to stay with me as we really deep dive this new and freshly updated Macan. Now remember, jump onto the carsguide.com.au website to get the fix on all sorts of new cars and reviews. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe so you never miss a video. Right, the bad news. There are price increases pretty much across the range here, with the biggest jump reserved for the GTS model. Now the method to Porsche's madness here though is that with no turbo model, the GTS has been tuned up to fill that void and thus priced accordingly. So what do you get for all that money?
The new Macan range now spans the entry-level Macan, which has increased by $500, the mid-spec Macan S, which has increased by $5,000, and the top-spec GTS, which has increased by a very substantial $17,500. The Macan opens proceedings with 19-inch alloy wheels, auto-dimming mirrors, keyless entry, push-button start, and Apple CarPlay via a 10.9-inch central screen, along with wireless charging and a gloss black interior. The Macan S then adds a premium Bose surround system, 20-inch alloys, a bigger engine and sportier suspension, while the GTS then adds sports seats, the most power and the most impressive performance kit, including air suspension.
Now it's more evolution than revolution when it comes to the way the new Macan looks, but there have been some changes, most of them up the front here at the nose, key of which is this new blacked out panel that runs from headlight to headlight. Now you'll find a similar panel whether you buy the Macan S or the GTS, but it does look more extreme on the GTS model with more black cladding and less of the body coloured elements. But probably the biggest change in the Macan though is here in the cabin, which has been fairly comprehensively overhauled. The very first thing you notice is that all the switches and toggles that used to frame the gear shift are gone, replaced by this new sort of touchscreen system that allows you to select what you need at the push of a button. Now it certainly does feel like it's been modernized, but it still feels a touch old school in places too, especially in this world of kind of pared back minimalism. It does feel a little busy in here. This gear shift and the plastic that surrounds it feels a little bit last generation. The dash is mostly analog with just one digital screen on the right hand side. And while there's Apple CarPlay, which works perfectly with this big screen, there's still no Android Auto. Now, save me rattling them off for you, we're going to pop the dimensions up here on screen. But suffice it to say, the Macan isn't massive, and that extends to the boot. Now, in the regular Macan, you'll get about 488 litres of space with the rear seats in place, but in this, the S or the GTS, that number actually shrinks to 453 litres, which really isn't a massive number for an SUV in this segment. Should you drop those rear seats though, you'll get about 1,500 litres in all the models. So while the Macan's not massive, I wouldn't describe it as too tight in the back seat either, especially if you use it as a four-seater. I'm 175 centimetres tall, I'm sitting behind my own driving position, and as you can see, I've got enough knee room to be comfortable and enough headroom too. In fact, I do think you could fit 4 people here relatively comfortably, but this big tunnel and the way the vents protrude would pretty much rule out having 3 adults back here. Better then, deploy the center armrest. You've got 2 cup holders there, 2 more for front seat riders. There's bottle holders in each of the door, 4 USB ports, and you do have air vents, but no temperature controls, and an ISOFIX attachment point in each window seat. While the base model Macan makes do with a 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, this model, the S and the GTS above it, both share this, the 2.9-litre bi-turbo V6, and this engine is a peach. Now there's more good news. No matter which Macan you buy, it's faster now than it was pre-facelift, which is always saying to put a smile on your face. And no matter what engine you choose, it comes with Porsche's very fast shifting, very slick PDK automatic.
Every Porsche Macan is on the thirsty side, with the base model requiring 9.3 litres per 100 kilometres on the combined cycle, while the S and the GTS increase those numbers to 10.2 and 10.3 litres respectively.
The very best thing about an SUV this size, and especially if it's one like the Macan, is if done well, it can feel more like a hot hatch than an SUV. And that is certainly true of this model, the Macan S. Now, we've taken in some of Sydney's best driving roads north of the city pretty much all day. And I got to say, this thing has been a huge amount of fun. We've swapped between this and the GTS, and both of which are powered by that awesome bi-turbo V6 engine. The GTS puts out more power, of course. It's got more standard suspension, kit standard air suspension. But for mine, I just can't justify the price jump from S to GTS. This, for me, is a sweet spot in the range. It does everything you want to. It produces plenty of power. It rides really well, feels super dynamic, puts a smile on your face on the right road. I just don't know why you'd want to jump above it. Now, with all that good news, though, does come just a little bit of bad news, and that is that for me, if driving enjoyment is at the heart of what you're looking for, the base model Macan just doesn't keep up with a vehicle like this. It just feels a little softer, a little less powerful, a little more stodgy in corners, and just doesn't paint the same smile on your face on the other side. So if yours is urban life, the Macan might be all you need. But if you do have a twisty road in your future, I encourage you to have a look at the S. And if you've got super deep pockets, have a look at the GTS as well. Now, with no turbo model in the lineup this time, the GTS kind of fulfills that role. The engine's been tuned up, tweaked up to produce better outputs that are closer to that of the old turbo, and a significantly quicker 0 to 100 time too. As a result of this car too is now faster and more powerful than it has been in the past, and so is the base model Macan. So in that sense, you can't really lose. But the reason I'm kind of raving a little bit about the S and GTS models particularly is because of the dual nature of their personalities. Now, this car actually rides really well. It takes a lot to unsettle it. Even mid-corner bumps, you can adjust your steering. It doesn't feel like it's ever really rattling above the road. The ride's really compliant and nice, which means it'll be perfectly fine for you in an urban environment, which, let's face it, is where a lot of these will spend a lot of their time. But by fiddling with this little drive mode here, you can engage sport or even Sport Plus mode. And I'm sure you can hear that behind me. It just changes the entire attitude of this vehicle, changes its entire personality, and suddenly you don't feel like you're driving an SUV with kids on the back on the way to soccer practice. You feel like you're driving something genuinely dynamic. You feel like you bought a hot hatch. Now, with a little bit of space here, I'll give you, and keep in mind we are going slightly uphill here, but you can hear that exhaust, you can feel the purr of the engine. That's 100 kilometers an hour going uphill in third gear. It does not behave like a family-friendly mid-size SUV should, at least when you really push it. But that's the whole point of a car like this. That dual personality is what makes it so appealing. You can be calm and sedate in the city and angry and aggressive on a road like this. And what's not to love? But while the drive experience really is pretty peachy, there are some kind of head-scratching things about this car. For one, there's no Android Auto, which kind of rules out an entire class of phone from using this big screen as you would your mobile phone. But the weirder one still is the fact that AEB, or autonomous emergency braking, is still part of an option pack in 2021. Still, be all that as it may, a car's core job is to drive, right? And I can tell you, the Macan does that very well indeed. And doesn't it sound the business doing it?
Now let's get the big one out of the way first. AEB is still an optional extra here, available as part of the Active Cruise Control option pack. And that's a real head scratcher here, especially in a car aimed at families. It will no doubt be standard later when the new Macan arrives, as it is on newer Porsche models, but for now you'll either miss out or you'll be asked to pay for it. What you do get though is multi-collision braking, 6 airbags, a surround view reversing camera and parking sensors, lane change assist, lane departure warning, and standard cruise control. It's also worth pointing out here that the Porsche Macan is technically unrated as far as crash testing goes. It was last tested in 2014 by Euro NCAP, but that body says that rating has since expired. The Macan is covered by Porsche's 3-year unlimited kilometre warranty and demands servicing every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. There's no cap price servicing on offer, and that, along with the shorter warranty, means it's pretty off the pace in Australia these days.
The Porsche Macan has been around for a little while now and undergone several facelifts, but for mine, it is still a super solid offering in the segment. The way it blends dynamics and comfort, practicality and performance for me is just a winning combo. If it was my money though, I'd be shopping for the S. It is the undeniable sweet spot in the range. Now, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video, and remember, check out carsguide.com.au for all your new car news and reviews.